All right, here we go. So I'm Miranda, and we have some great presenters joining us today.
I'm Carrie. I'm one of the other district librarians.
And
I'm Leanna Fayloga. I'm a library tech at LOJ.
Great.
Hi, I'm Deb Owen. I'm the art teacher at LOJ.
Great. And I'm really excited to have all of them joining us today. We're going to talk about some different ways to have your students share information, show what they've learned, do creative and fun activities with comics. So if you wanted to be on this presentation, there's a link right there. You'll see it, bit.ly/LOSD comics. If somebody wants to drop that in the chat, that would be great, because then you can just click on it. And then talking about why we might want to make comics, especially online, when we're trying to engage students and do something creative and fun, help them understand the concept or story that they're studying. You can include writing, art, and much more. So there's so many different ways you can use them in an educational way to retell or expand on a story, or to explain a concept, to talk about a personal experience, using academic language, reenacting a historical event. But we're going to start by having Deb take over with presenting to show some things that her students are actually doing. So go ahead and take over so you can head on down and
Okay, I'm going to put up that slideshow that I had, right?
Excellent. Yeah, so go on down and take over presenting from me.
How do I do my thing again? How do I?
Okay, so down where it says present now.
Yes, got it. Okay, present
Great.
now.
And then
Entire screen.
Great.
Share. Okay.
Excellent. Good.
Yeah.
Great. So then go ahead and perfect. And I see your sweet dog, and now you're.
Okay. This is I've been doing this the whole time I've been teaching online, and the way I present my slides is I've been using my dogs instead of cartoon characters as a way to help me, connect to my students, and then also help be playful and have links to other things so the kids can, see a little bit about me, but also get the project that I'm trying to teach them about. So there's the project, and then Dixie jumps in.
So cute.
And it's helping. There's a lot of jokes about not having thumbs in my slideshows. But then I have the steps, and then she pops in to say hey, and then more Dixie. We talk about the concepts that I'm trying to teach them. And then there's more Dixie every now and then. And then more of the lesson. And then this lesson, I actually was able to, there's Dixie Bob Ross. This lesson at some point, here I put a video in. This was fun to figure out. The first time I did it upside down. Apparently there is a upside down and right side for your iPad. But I figured this one out, so I embedded a video for the kids to see how I was doing the project. And then more pictures and more explanations. But just trying to make it fun for them so they can see visually, since that's what we're doing, how my project works. And since I'm not there in person, to try to make it fun and engaging for them. So yeah, that's what I did.
I love that. Thank you. And we have the speech bubbles, which you'll see in lots of the other slides that we're doing, and opportunities for students to type into speech bubbles and make comics. Deb, do you think students enjoy the comic and graphic novel kind of
I think they do. Yeah, they've said so far that they really enjoy it, and they think my dogs are cute. And so I'm currently working on my last slideshow. Daisy, I have 4 dogs, as you can see here. So Daisy gets to be the last one, and she will be there helping me with the last art project. The last art project is about getting them outside, since it's finally nice. And so I've got all these different little projects for them to do, from very simple things like just draw something like this one outside, to this little game you can make with rocks. I painted some rocks. And then there's Dixie outside playing with Daisy. And then there's modifications if that's too hard, if you just want to paint a rock and put it in your yard. This was a fun one, which is actually very sciencey. And so there's that little project that actually makes kind of like a photo transfer. And there's Daisy commenting on it. But just some fun things that they can do to make it, you know, and I tried to make it for everybody. So there's that's my front yard right there. And there's Dixie or Daisy.
So many dogs, you get them.
I know, I lost track which one it was.
Thank you, that's awesome. And so Brigitte was saying, like, you can use Google Slides, which is a big theme today because we were doing Pear Deck earlier to make slides interactive. And then we're going to talk a lot about, with the comics, using slides. And so here, this is a great example of how you've used slides to share with students.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take over presenting and get back to that presentation. So lots of reasons to do comics. This is a great example, Robot and Penguin, that somebody made to talk about science concepts. So we'll put that slide, link to the slides into chat again so that you can take a look at that. But Carrie, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the templates we made in slides?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what's so nice about comics on the student side is you can really differentiate. It can be very simple. And then for those students who want to take off with it, they can go above and beyond and add a lot of detail. But we, Miranda had this great link to Jarrett Lerner's web page, and he has all these amazing templates that are downloadable and his permission to use, so you can make your own slides. So here's an example. I love this one actually with the tree. It's all preloaded, and then you can have the kids type their own captions or tell a story amongst those 4 speech bubbles. And we included all the link to Jarrett Lerner, but you'll see he's got just templates of different panels. So you can choose a 3-panel comic page or a 5-panel comic page, and populate it however you want. So lots of workable images there. And I really loved it, because as a teacher, you're like, oh, I don't have time to create tons of these. And so these are all tools that you can use just at your fingertips, which is great.
Great, thank you. And I will point out that with Google Slides, you can change the shape and size, so you can go up to File and Page Setup. So like this tree one is a little stretchy, so you want to resize the slide so that it didn't do that. And you'll see some of the others examples, we fixed that. But let's go on to the next slide. We're going to show you 3 different ways that you could do it. The first is just have students use paper, pencil, art supplies, draw, and then submit a photo to you. So a photo of their artwork. So just important to remember, you don't have to do everything on a screen. We can definitely have students do something on paper with their own paper and supplies, and then take a picture and submit it. Make Believe Comics, which if Leanna doesn't mind talking about in a minute, it's a simple online comic strip maker. It's nice that it doesn't require them to sign in. They can drag and drop and then download and submit things or take screenshots or whatever without having a big process to sign up. And then we'll get into the Google Slides. And if you've done any of the Bitmoji classrooms, you know some of the basics of that. So there's the offline option. Oh, Toontastic. Carrie, do you want to say something on
Sure. So I didn't know much about Toontastic until a couple days ago, when I realized it's an app that is available through self-service on the district iPad. So the kids with iPads do have this right now, and it is really user-friendly. And oh, it looks like I need to change the access on the video there to view it. Sorry about that. It's preloaded when you open up the app. It gives you different settings. So there's a pirate ship, there's a classroom. It's preloaded with characters. Some are fantastical, like mermaids, or talking animals, pirates. Then there'll be, children characters. And then it's also preloaded with little story maps. So there's a short story and it prompts the kids, remember your short story needs a beginning and talk about the characters. Has a longer story map and you can add elements on. It also has a science project map, which I liked, where step 1, ask your questions, step 2, do your hypothesis. So I like that content there. Then it's just a matter of the kids dragging the characters into the different settings. They record their own voices, so there actually isn't a typing aspect. It's all recordable, and then it downloads as a video onto the iPad camera roll. So really simple to use and lots of possibilities. It does have one feature where the kids can use a drawing tool to draw their own characters and insert them into the story. And they can take a picture of, say, themselves and superimpose their face, say, on the pirate. So there is a video. Please do not critique my video too much about my pirate story, but I did include a video so you can see a final outcome. Oh, Moran, you just have to turn on your microphone.
Sorry, I knew I was going to do that. Someone's asking, that's an iPad app, correct? We can't use it on a Chromebook. Yes. Correct.
Yeah, it is just iPad. And I would also say to that, though, I would say younger kids would be more motivated by it than, probably 4th grade and up, not as motivated, but still fun.
Great. And for the older kids, here is one that anyone can use on any device. Leanna, do you want to say a few words about this, and I'll show the examples you made?
Sure. So Make Believe Comics, it's a pretty simple website to use, very easy. It's, again, like a kind of a drag and drop type of thing. You'll see down at the bottom of that screen, it says characters, balloon prompts, and if when you're on the website, you can scroll a little bit past that. It has objects and backgrounds and things that you can choose. So it's very, very simple. You can just pick your object and slide it onto the screen, and then move it and scale it as you like. The talk balloons are nice. It sort of gives different types of talk balloons. On that, you can create multiple windows for your comics. So I think I created maybe 5 or 6, so 7 windows for my story. And it was very, very simple. They have these built-in characters, so I just kind of dragged and dropped each one of them. And I've put a little bit of the pros and cons there. It's nice because once you're all finished, you just select the email to me. It can email it to you as a PNG file, which is similar to like a JPEG or a picture file, and then you can upload that to wherever you'd like, either onto Google Slides or email it out. So I really like that. The characters are somewhat limited, but they're fun. I chose the chef because he had the best animated faces and things that I like to do. So so I chose him for my story, but it's a fun, easy way to make a quick comic that I think kids would enjoy.
Great, thank you. And then one thing I like about this is the interface. You can change it to other languages. So if a student wants to do it in Chinese or Arabic or Spanish or whatever language, they can do that. And if you head over to the slideshow, you can see some of the really creative comics kids are making right now during this whole situation. And so they're expressing themselves, the things that are going on with them right now. And I like that too.
Yeah, they even have a COVID insert that you can make just for now. That's special, just like characters, they have a little COVID area. So I thought that was cute.
Nice. So Google Slides, though, is another great way to make comics, and it's everybody has access to that, grades 3 through 12, and you can make a template for students with text bubbles and items to drag and drop in, or you can show them how to use Explore or get their own images. So there's a whole range of difficulty. When they're done, they can publish it to the web, which looks really nice, or they can just turn it into a Google Classroom with just one click. It is really nice. You can set up the template and then make copies of it if you're having multiple panels. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So it's just a nice way to do this. So this slide links to some tips on how to do it. So for example, in this one, I set the panel as the background on a slide. I resized the slide to be the shape and size that I wanted. And then I just dragged a bunch of space and solar system images onto the slide, and the call outs, the speech bubbles and such. And then students can move those on and type inside them. They can do what they want. I think I thought of this because of the launch today, which was unfortunately canceled. They're going to do it Saturday, hopefully. Carrie, do you want to talk about your
Sure.
Here?
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure you could do this with lots younger kids. You may do it together as a group or a small groups, but I started with one of Jarrett Lerner's templates, and this is his drawing of these little fish finish this comic. So I got my slide set up with that as the background. And then off on the margins there, I added the speech or thought bubbles and a couple little characters that I thought the kids could drag over and add. And as you know, depending on their capability, they might be able to copy and paste additional, another starfish or another shark or whatever. But what's nice with the speech and thought bubbles is they don't have to insert a text box or anything. They can type right in there. And then I did link at the top to other templates. So for example, you could even preload all the bubbles with exactly what you wanted and have the kids, maybe I think I put one on there, the life cycle of the butterfly, and have the kids put that in order, or have them drag out everything that is a question. And so you can preload it however you'd like to review concepts or see what they do with it. It can be as simple as you'd like.
It's really awesome. And if you want to make a copy of, if you're like, oh, this is really cute with the fish, you just head over to our template and make your own copy that you can push out to the kids on Seesaw or Google Drive, Google Classroom. So that's really easy to share templates and ideas.
So I went ahead and made some templates for 3 through 5 as well, grades 3 through 5. And here's where, as the kids are more familiar even with, their Chromebooks or how to copy and paste, because you do run out of room to add images and bubbles. But if they wanted an additional tent, for example, they could copy and paste. And then as well, they might get to the point where they could click on Explore and go out and look for images as well to bring into their panel. So for example, this one was, persuade us to come visit Oregon. So you could give them all kinds of different activities to do with making a brochure or just making a quick comic. I do think it's really motivated, especially for kids who sometimes struggle with writing, that this is a way for them to get right to the point and get their words out. So I really, I had fun making them, and I think they would have fun too.
Great. Thank you. So here's a 6 through 12 example. Again, like I put the assignment on the side there, and then put a bunch of images that I thought might be useful for this project and the speech bubbles. And then I just copied that first slide and changed the numbers on the panel. so I didn't have to get the images again or move them from slides. Just I did that first slide, and then you'll see like how this next one, 2 and 3, was just copying that. I can pop over to the finished example if we have time. Let me do, not really. But check that out because I made one I'm very proud of, the finished example. And then here's what I did for this would probably be for high school, like Romeo and Juliet, put the dialogue from the balcony scene in your own words or school appropriate student language. And I just used the same background for all the slides, but then you could have the dialogue going back and forth. So lots of ways to do but that would be a fun one. And then if you really want to get advanced, or your students do, you can transition in slides or animate slides. So when you click, the speech bubble pops up. And you could use word art. There's all kinds of creative things that you could do to learn some presentation skills and some Google Slide skills, and also make your comic a little more interactive. And then publishing to the web is great too, because that makes it easy to share and it fills the whole computer screen and looks really nice. Carrie, do it.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And I'd love more suggestions from people if you've got good resources for reading and also drawing comics. Of course, I love Gene Yang. I should put, if you know Gene Yang and his work, and he's such an ambassador for reading graphic novels. But I did find some great tutorials. I know, the kids just love anything by Pilkey. So he's got tutorials where he's actually a really great teacher explaining how he's doing the Dogman characters. And then I also found Bad Kitty by Nick Gruel. And then Peter Reynolds does so much. Of course, he has his own website that I think you pay for, Animation-ish, but he has some tutorials around the dot and great things you can just do with the dot. So I added those 3, but yeah, I would love to hear if other people have great resources for that.
And speaking of the dot, we just added lots and lots of copies to Sora of that book. If you're not familiar with it, go check it out, because they were selling the book for $1. So we picked up a lot of them. I think we had 22 or something. We're like, oh, nice. And so you shouldn't have any problem getting a copy from Sora.
Yeah.
And then speaking of Sora, this is a perfect transition to say that students love, love, love graphic novels and comic strips and all of that. And right here on this slide, I've got links that go straight to graphic novels and comics. We have a ton of them in Sora. There's some on Tumble Books, all of our digital libraries. They're probably the hottest items at all times. Leanna, do you want to say something about whether or not our middle school students like graphic novels and comics? It's kind of a leading question, but
I would say that middle school grades, when kids come in looking for books, that's why our graphic novel section is right at the front door, because that's really one of the first places they go and check out. We got some whenever we get new graphic novels, they fly off the shelves. I don't even put them back. I just put them on the main display right when they come in, and they're in and out. So they're very, very hot. They love to read them. They're very engaging really from the first page. And so it keeps those reluctant readers reading, and even those avid readers. I have a couple kids who will just check out like 10, 15 graphic novels, and I let them, because I know they're all coming back in a day or two after they've finished them. So yeah, they're a great way to get kids reading.
Right. And maybe we kind of tricked you into coming to this because to talk about how much we love graphic novels, but it's true. And there's some ways we've added some graphic novels to the approved list. They went through the school board. So if you're like middle school, New Kid was approved, which is an amazing. And if you're thinking it's all superheroes and capes, well, it's some of that. And then there's a ton of other books that are about social issues and all kinds of things. The public library has some of them as unlimited access, and we have some now as unlimited access in Sora. So if you were like, I would like my whole class to read New Kid, or all of my students, we can do that. We can figure out some ways to do that. Or we can give you a list of graphic novels and comics that everybody can access. Okay. We've got about 4 more minutes. If there are any questions, comments, if anybody has something they want to show that they've done, or talk about other ways to make comics that we haven't mentioned.
I know in the chat, it was mentioned that you could, oh yeah, do a book creator. You can make
Creator, yes.
Mhm.
And then Animationish and Comic Life, yeah, but they, right. So
They're
do
in the iLab.
But we have them. Okay, awesome. Yes, great. Any other resources? Anyone who's had students make comics and wants to unmute themselves and say how it went?
I used to do this a lot, and mostly when I taught high school. And I do it a lot in animation. They have to make a, they write a story and then they have to storyboard it. So they do that a lot in my animation class. And it's always interesting to me how kids don't understand. They come in and they're like, but I want to do animation. And I'm like, what? Everything is a story. And it takes them a while to wrap their brain around that. That's always an interesting concept because they're like, well, no, I just want to make animation. I'm like, well, yeah, but you have to have a story. And so that's been a little bit of a struggle because I'm not an LASS teacher. I'm an art teacher. And so I've used different ways to get around that. And these graphic novels would be really nice too. But I've told them just use any story. You can use Cinderella, you could use Red Riding Hood, whatever. Because I don't want to focus so much on the writing of the story as so much of the telling of it and the technology behind how to do that part. But yeah, this has really been a lot of fun and of course right up my alley. So
Great. I'm so glad that you joined us and can talk about it from the art teacher perspective, right?
Yeah.
I think about like the books, the reading, the storytelling, and then you can see from my examples, the art is maybe a little rough. but any way that you can get kids engaged in telling a story and doing art, and it's just awesome. And I love the suggestions for all the different ways you can do it, including here's a piece of paper and a pencil. And
yeah, absolutely. You can do that too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have to be on the screen all the time. We can do paper, and if we want to turn it in right now, we can take a photo and send it in.
Yeah, and I've done that too in animation. I've had them do flip books and use a little sticky notepad and do that. They love that. All my sticky notepads go missing all the time. Once they figure out how to do that, they're all about that and doing that and just doing it with just 2 pieces of paper, just so you can see the concept of persistence of motion and how that works. So.
Great. I love that. The flip book sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording, but feel free to hang out, ask questions, whatever you want to